And with that, let's get into our Friday staple as we welcome on
Are we
Denny.
going to a break?
No break.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Denny Carter is on standby. There he is, repping Roto World with the shirt today. Denny Carter joins us to go over the Regression Files, players who are overproducing or underproducing based on their workload, playing time, and opportunity. Denny, always great to have you on, despite what Matthew might say.
Yeah. Hey, Denny.
Listen, I was among the people screaming Johnny Lawrence.
Thank you.
Scream while you guys are struggling.
Hey, Denny, we need you to.
I think Steven heard me and relayed it.
No, Steven had no idea. So that's why we had to look it up on our laptops.
Steven goes, Ralph Macchio? Steven, no. But, it was awful. Producer Steven. But thank you, Denny. I just had a brain fart where I just couldn't remember the name Johnny Lawrence for some reason. But who's your favorite character in the Karate Kid universe?
Forget the
Who's my favorite? I guess you're going to go with the protagonist, right? With Daniel. But by the way, your 80s cultural card has been revoked temporarily, Matthew, for not knowing Johnny Lawrence off the top of your head.
Tough scene.
It's a tough scene.
Yeah.
It's fair. I'm tough but fair.
You know what you are, Denny, and let's be honest. If what people remember out of this show is that I forgot the name Johnny Lawrence for a minute, and they don't remember the fact that I took the over on Mike Evans' receiving prop from last night, then that's a good thing. Then that's a positive. Then I've accomplished my job here.
Overshadowing the F-bomb that could have gotten.
Or the F-bomb. I don't know if you saw, but I
did see that.
I pulled a Chris Sims and just, I'm like, whatever. Sims curses all the time. They can't get rid of me.
I played quarterback in the NFL too. Let's go.
Right. I'm NFL royalty, right? My dad's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Oh, wait. No, none of that's true. All right. Well, listen, I had a good run, Denny. I hope you take good care of the show with Lawrence, Connor, and Jay here. So,
all right, Denny. How about a negative regression pick to kick things off here for the week?
All right, look, Tua was my cover guy on the Regression Files this week, and it's not because he's not going to be fantasy relevant going forward, but I just wanted to point out to folks that Tua has been running super hot, especially where it counts the most inside the 10-yard line. He's tied with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes for the most inside the 10 pass attempts this year. More than half of his touchdowns have come in the green zone inside the 10. And here's the thing, though, guys. The Dolphins' offense is not particularly pass-heavy in the red zone. In fact, they're in the bottom half of the league. They're around where the Texans and Falcons are, the Seahawks. They're really establishing the run in the red zone more often than not. So I don't know if Tua can keep up this pace where he's just getting these easy touchdowns. I'm not saying, again, he's going to be relevant. I just think you have to kind of adjust your expectations going forward.
All right, well, let's flip on the other side then, and how about one that goes in a little bit more of a positive light?
Yeah, well, this is tough to say after Derek Carr dropped back 59 times and scored 16 fantasy points last week against the Jaguars. I'm still tilting over that one. But, the Saints offense has shown that they are willing to drop back and pass it when they have to. The fact that the entire plane is made out of Alvin Kamara dump-offs is another thing entirely. But Carr should have regression on his side in the coming weeks, especially against the Colts. Kind of soft secondary here. Carr has only thrown a touchdown at 2.4% of his throws this year. That's well below his career rate of 4.5%. So I think we should see the touchdowns coming. Hopefully that's good for Chris Olave. Hopefully it's good for Michael Thomas. I see better things coming for Derek Carr.
Barry, who'd you go with on Denny's Regression Files this week?
Yeah, well, I'll stay in New Orleans with Taysom Hill, which is, again, negative regression here. I mean, the fact of the matter is that I know he's been a quote-unquote usable tight end, even though he doesn't really play tight end. But the fact of the matter is weeks 4 through 7, he's gotten 15 targets. He has the 107 receiving yards. But part of the issue is, no Jamal Williams in terms of, I think with Jamal Williams back, maybe he takes some of those goal line carries that we've been seeing Taysom Hill get, and also more importantly, Juwan Johnson. So Juwan Johnson's been out since week 4, right? He returned to practice this week in a limited fashion. We expect him hopefully active on Sunday. Prior to his injury, Juwan Johnson had a 70% route participation. So if you think about weeks 1 through 3 when Juwan Johnson was active, Taysom Hill was running under 8 routes per game, had just 4 total targets, 8 receiving yards. You know what I mean? I get it. It's tight end. We're all desperate.
Yeah.
But Taysom Hill remains just a tight end or bust, and he just doesn't have as nearly good a chance to score a touchdown or be as fantasy relevant with Juwan Johnson and Jamal Williams back, in my opinion. Right. I agree with your call on the list there, Denny.
Yeah, look, Taysom Hill for 2 weeks had two things going for him. He actually was used as somewhat of a traditional tight end. He wasn't running a ton of routes, but about 50-60%, depending on the week. He saw 13 targets over the past 2 games, and he was also getting those goal line touches. And we saw him score a goal line touchdown against Jacksonville last week. So you combine those two things. If he had that role locked in for the rest of the season, honestly, guys, I would rank him above everybody but like the elites, like the Kelseys, the Hawkinsons, the Andrews, right? And that's it. But he's going to lose that. He's going to lose the easy stuff, those receptions near the line of scrimmage, because Juwan Johnson is coming back. Not to say Juwan Johnson's a great fantasy option. He's not. He's like a deep league, desperate kind of situation. But that really crushes Taysom's fantasy prospects.
Jay, what about somebody on the more positive side here?
Yeah, Denny, I enjoyed your write-up on Joe Mixon, particularly like the reference to the Overlook Hotel.
Yeah,
Matthew has spent much of segment 1 unhinged like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Joe Mixon, you expect that he's going to get more touchdowns going forward based on the amount of carries he's getting at the goal line?
Yeah, I mean, he still has all of the green zone rushing attempts for Cincinnati. Like, nobody else in that backfield is seeing those extremely high value touches. And there's also the fact that with a healthy Joe Burrow, the Bengals have shifted back to a very pass heavy offense, and that has led to more pass routes and more targets for Joe Mixon. So I think you combine kind of that, 4 or 5 receptions per game maybe as the main pass catching running back out of the backfield, plus the goal line work. Hopefully Joe Mixon can one day score a touchdown. We're hoping for it this week.
That's the concern, right? Because I agree with you in terms of all the signs point to he's just getting so much massive usage that it has to turn in his favor. The problem that's working against him is he's just not good. So that's like, there's just, there's a right, like they keep giving him chances at the 1 yard line. He can't convert.
He can't convert.
He made my hate list this week, honestly, Denny, just to be honest. Now, listen, I have him at running back 17, so I still am as a starter, even in a 10-team league. So I think you and I are on board. And I agree with you. Positive regression is coming. It just has to, given his usage and the skill of that offense. I'm not 100% convinced it happens this weekend against San Francisco. Niners allow the 5th fewest rushing yards per game to running backs. After last week, I feel like the defense is like, hey, Minnesota, we've lost 2 in a row. We might be without our starting quarterback. We might be without our left tackle. We're definitely without Deebo Samuel. Hey, defense, this is us. We've got to gut it up here, and we've got to carry this one for the home team. So that's my only concern there.
Yeah, the matchup stinks, no doubt about that. But we might get Joe Mixon tripping over his own feet, falling into the end zone once, and we'll take that.
There's the positives here. To your point, is they're off the bye. They've had 2 weeks to sort of fix this offense. We expect a fully healthy T. Higgins. We expect a fully healthy Joe Burrow out of the break. And again, they've had 2 weeks to prepare specifically for the 49ers. So hopefully, they know that they need a balanced offense to get things going. So I appreciate that. One other thing for you, Denny, just one last question for you. Have you noticed, because I know you are a stalwart of the fantasy industry, right? And you are somebody that has been in the industry for a long, long time, as have I. And so you look around, and so many people coming into the industry, and they're like, hey, I'm Doctor this, I'm the fantasy wizard, I'm the fantasy grandmaster, I'm the fantasy fixer, I'm the accountant. Everyone's coming up with a different thing, right? But you know what I've noticed? Literally no one out there, and this has been inspired by our Karate Kid conversation today. No one is the fantasy sensei.
Yeah.
No one's the fantasy sensei. I feel like Sensei. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Sensei.
we got that.
Like Sensei. Yeah, like Sensei Cris, who's also on Cobra Kai.
So I mean, somebody's got to dress up in the karate outfit and be like, I can do this, I can chop wood, and I can tell you to not play Joe Mixon this week.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody, and I just would like to throw this into the suggestion box. Maybe that's RotoPat. Maybe RotoPat becomes the fantasy sensei.
I like that.
Just something
We're gonna
to think
have to
about.
look into that.
Would you
I'll
throw
try
it
to
in the
convince
suggestion box? Let it rattle around over there for the Roto World Football Show. Just fantasy sensei RotoPat.
I like Kyle as the accountant, by the way, the fantasy accountant, like doing the
fantasy
fab budgets.
accountant.
Yeah, the
1,000%.
The fantasy accountant just does fab budgets.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or it could be like the Ben Affleck movie. Where you're actually like a real badass.
Right. I could definitely see Kyle having a secret double life. There's no question about that. So.
He has the glasses for it.
He has the glasses for it. So, yeah. Anyway, I like that idea. Kyle is the fantasy accountant, and, and Rotopad is the fantasy sensei.
Listen, you're an ideas man, Matthew, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. God bless. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Rotoworld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.